Hey Matthew, how you going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. Really excited to interview you.
No, good.
So, should we just get started, get into it?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Awesome. So, Matthew, where do you work?
So currently I work at Deloitte. It has been 1 year already.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
do you want me to give an introduction of myself? So, basically, I'm based in Adelaide. I graduated as an international student from University of South Australia with a Bachelor of Business, Marketing and Accounting degree, and a Master in IT, Enterprise Management. After my graduation, well, actually, during my master's degree, I've got a part-time job in a IT consulting firm, which is a smaller boutique firm. And then after my graduation, I jumped to Big Four, which is Deloitte, and has been there for 1 year already.
Awesome. And what team are you in?
My team is called Technology Strategy and Transformation, so we usually call it TSNT.
Hmm. And what kind of work do you do there?
Well, that's a good question. We do a lot of a broad range of work, but mainly because it is the technology strategy team, so we focus on digital transformation. So types of work, in terms of types of engagement and project that I get into, can range from project management, business analysis, and some type might be IT strategy, IT operating model design, and PMO support, or even software implementation. That involve testing, developing, and BA type of work. So basically everything around technology.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. And because you're a kind of a junior level consultant.
Yeah.
What does your day to day look like?
Well, in terms of work style, do you mean? So basically, I can walk you through what my day look like. So it depends on whether I have an early meeting. So normally I would wake up at around 8:30. If I have a meeting, say at 9, then I will jump into the meeting. But before that, I will also make sure that I spend like 10 to 15 minutes to check my email and all this stuff to set up, and then just basically jump right straight into work. If I'm on a project, obviously there will be a list of things to do. If I'm not on a project, I will have to schedule some trainings and all this stuff. But basically, my work day start at around 8:30 to 9, and then I finish at around 5:30 to 6 every day.
Awesome. And because these projects, I imagine there'd be a lot involved in each one, and you'd be working in kind of a team of at least a few people, different levels of seniority.
Yeah.
What kind of role do you typically play in a project?
Well, it really depends on the type of project and the size of the team, I would say. So some kind of, large scale transformation program that might involve a lot of people, like maybe including the client side and the other vendors side. That might include, I don't know, 150 people in the whole program. So in that sense, as Deloitte, as consultant, jumping into, we might jump into support role. And in that sense, as a more junior person, I will be, supporting the program and most some of the time writing some meeting minutes, doing some reporting and all this stuff. But on the other world, some types of project, we have a pretty small team, like 3 to 5 consultants in total, including the senior manager, the director, the partner, and maybe 1 or 2 grads or consultant as the analyst level. So in that sense, we will have a much broader responsibility because essentially the team is small and we are working as a whole team to deliver the solution instead of playing each of us playing each specific role in that program. So yeah, it really depends.
Awesome. Okay. Fantastic. And was it when you joined Deloitte? Was it as you thought it would be? Was there anything that was different than what you expected when you were applying?
Well, what I've expected, it kind of aligns what I expected in terms of the resource and support and the structure of the work, because we are so big and we have a lot of resource. Even when we are not on project, people are working on practice development tasks or business development tasks. So we spend a lot of time to come up with some knowledge or reusable, we so-call it accelerator or like templates. You can think of like templates or like some past deliverables to be reused in to support other projects. So I think in terms of the support and resources and also the culture, I've got a huge supporting network for me to thrive in these project experience. Yeah, and what wasn't aligned with my expectation is actually also about the scale, because I didn't expect that a consulting firm would do that broad range of work, including implementation and all this stuff. Because before I joined consulting, I thought consulting is more on the advisory side of things. So basically, we jump onto a client project, we jump onto a client team, and then we ask questions and we look at their pain points and their problem, and then analyze stuff, and then give an advice, and then we're done. But in the real world, it wasn't that. So it doesn't really work like that. Some type of advisory projects does work like that, but sometimes it also poses a roadmap of our recommendations, and it also bring it to another opportunity to actually implement those solutions. So it is more of a full set of solution instead of just advisory work.
Really interesting. And going back to when you were a student, and I think you had from memory, you had a goal of working in consulting for quite a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
So, can you provide any sorts of tips, or what advice would you give to someone looking to follow in your footsteps? Maybe they're a student, or they've graduated, want to work in consulting or at Big Four.
Yep. Well, why don't I just tell my story a little bit? So just to give a bit of background of how I actually get here. So I remember it was exactly 2 years ago. I enrolled in grad jobs program, but a half year before that, I was actually when I was studying in a master degree, I kind of have that feeling that I'm already a bachelor graduate, and I was working in a restaurant, and I feel fairly pretty undervalued, because essentially I study a lot and I have a degree already, and I just feel uncomfortable in my situation, and I feel like I should get some real world corporate world or business world experience to be able to secure a graduate job after my graduation. So I started to look apply for some internship or some part-time job. But at that stage, I didn't really understand how what kind of work, what kind of occupation that really exists in the IT world. I basically look at every entry level IT job and I apply with a not that ready resume. And obviously my result wasn't good. I didn't get any interview. And then at one point I connect with you on LinkedIn and I saw your posts and all this stuff and I feel like, oh, maybe just give it a try because I have no idea where I'm at, and how should I, move forward at that point of time. And then I signed up for your program, and you helped me to actually analyze my situation and define my own goals. And with some research on the market and also refining my profile, my CV, my LinkedIn, all this kind of stuff, and I finally got my heads around how should I move forward, and I think the most important part is that the mindset that I have was a fixed mindset, and it was such a transformation from switching from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset to really understand that it doesn't necessarily has to be something that I already know or I am an expert in doing to be able to secure a job. So with that mindset and that attitude, I managed to land an internship and a part-time job in a small consulting firm within 2 months. And then after my graduation, I still feel like I still want to give it a shot to apply on Big Four with that experience, and my my profile has been enhanced because of my all this experience that I had. Then I got the job. So yeah.
Awesome. So it was kind of a yeah. It seems like you went through a bit of that. Like one of the most valuable things was just shifting your mindset.
Exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of students and graduates it is very important, I would say, to really understand what you want and how do you get there. But in terms of figuring, because I can see a lot of students and graduates, they basically just take the approach that I used to use when I was seeking an internship before I joined grad jobs. Right? I was basically applying for every job opening that I saw, but I didn't know whether I was a great fit. I didn't know what are the expectations from the hiring team, and I didn't even know what does the company that like what service that they provide. I only know that it is an IT role, it is an entry level role. Then I will apply, and I didn't know where I'm at. Am I a valuable candidate, or am I weak students? And like you have to figure out where you stand in that in that candidate position to be able to know what you need to move forward.
I think that's a really, really good insight. I'm noticing this, like I'm sure you get people reaching out to you and asking you for like advice and stuff as well.
Yep.
And it's always, people always want to know. I was just talking to a guy just before this call. He was doing the same thing, applying to jobs, he graduated, couldn't get anything, and he just really wanted to know how to make his resume good. And I was just like, but it's great to have a good resume. That's really cool. But he had no idea whatsoever where he wanted to be, how to get there, what the requirements were. He didn't have any goals. He was just applying to whatever. Yep. And so I think you're right. It's so important. And then once you then layer on that, I guess the job search tactics.
Yep.
Then I don't know, like you said, you get pretty good results.
Yeah. So in terms of tips and tricks, I think, I would say see career or job seeking as a project in your life, because essentially everyone, whenever everyone graduates from uni or high school, and everyone has to go through this process. But if you really try to um, see it as a project, and try to manage that project, and obviously you will know that the first step is to define the goal, and then you have to plan, what do I need in order to um, to move to the next step, and you identify all the stepping stones that you need, and also identify where you are at, and then you can come up with a plan to follow.
100%. Any other tips? I know we've got about 9 minutes left, and that's it. So, anything else you'd say? Someone who really wants to, follow in your footsteps. Anything else? Any value you can give?
Well, there's a lot, but um, well, in terms of mindset, I would say, focusing on your mindset is a good thing, because some of, I mean, most of them, a lot of students and graduates, they sometimes they feel frustrated, and they apply for a lot of jobs. I even heard some people apply for 200, 300 jobs, and got nothing, or like got one or two interview, and then it's easy to tell that they will fail that interview, because essentially they didn't know what they want, and they didn't even know what the company does, right? So it is really hard for you to show that you're a valuable candidate to the firm, to the HR, or whoever is hiring you in the interview, if you don't have the clear goal. So I guess the mindset that actually doesn't only apply to career development or job seeking, but it could apply to your personal life, or how you perform in a job, or things like that, is to be very goal oriented, and always look for continuous improvement. So say if you try to use one approach, and you try it 10 times, and it doesn't work, obviously there might be some problem in your approach, right? And then you have to try to understand what am I doing wrong, and then try to see where should I improve. Maybe it is your resume, maybe it is your cover letter, maybe it is just your attitude, or maybe there might be some external things that you can't control, but focus on something that you can control, and well, you will see the results. Really, it is really straightforward. Like, you can't control what you can't, but you can control a lot of things that can lead you to success.
And it's like the way you were kind of describing it, it's like almost like the science experiment hypothesis test. It's like, I hypothesize if I do X, I will get X, Y result.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
You measure it. Does X lead to Y? Yes or no? And you've got a good point as well. Almost every student graduate I speak to, they're not measuring these variables, and even if their hypothesis isn't working, like their plan isn't working, they continue with the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you go.
No, I was. I mean, you're absolutely right. And sometimes I did went through that stage, and I understand why people do this, because basically they do not really understand where they're at, or they're just simply not thinking it through. But sometimes when I look back, and seeing some of these people who does the same thing that I did, I would be I am a little bit confused, and I would obviously provide a lot of advice to them to really help them to to really support them to move on to the right path.
Yeah, but yeah, to be fair as well, I guess it is obviously it's hard to know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Google is a good thing. You can research anything based on and put some assumptions on it, and and somehow you'll get some estimation. And also another good thing that I wasn't doing before I joined the grad jobs program, but the thing was that you have to talk to people in the industry to be able to get some answers and basically to answer your doubts, because sometimes Googling might be good, but because the internet is so global and it leads to everywhere, might be because well, basically not every answers that you find on Google applies to your situation. So maybe the Google post, the post or the blog that you find on Google is talking about the U.S. market. Well, in this and in the real world situation, you're trying to look for a job in the Australian market, then it might not really align. But it really depends. So the ability for you to filter the information and to judge whether it is accurate to your own situation is another skills as well. But in terms of bridging the gap and how do you find whether it is right or wrong, talking to people is a great way and very straightforward way, and also it is not just finding the answers but also building the connections, and it applies to even now I within the firm or outside of the firm, I still apply those skills, those technique that you taught me about, small talking and how do you network with people, how do you emphasize your interest in whatever area, to really build those connections, and then ultimately you will receive a lot of success and what you actually want in the first place from those connections.
Yeah, they're all really, really good points. I like how you're focusing on the fundamentals. You're not just talking about jobs tips, the resume, the link. Like it's fundamental stuff, but it works. And I know you've got to go in a second, so I wanted to ask you one last question that popped up. I'm really intrigued to know the answer to, which is, I think, out of all my my clients who I've worked with, you've got to have had one of the best work ethics, I think, out of everyone, like right up there. So to people who are trying to follow in your footsteps, or they're in the grad jobs program and they want to also follow in your footsteps, so they've got all these additional resources and support, what tips would you give them about work ethic? Putting in the hours, putting in the effort. How do you?
Well, I think a lot of people, or including me, I thought that in the first instance, I thought that applying for jobs is like is like an easy process. I just have to write my resume and apply, click through the application and apply for jobs, and then all of a sudden I will get some interview, and all of a sudden I will just get the job over, which is not quite that case. You do actually have to put in some hours to do some background work to really research on whatever position that you really want to get into or really interested in. Identify the gaps that the skills and knowledge that you currently have and you currently don't have, and really try to identify the opportunities to move forward to fill in your gaps. So either it is a stepping stone and like an internship opportunity, or like another certificates or like a training that you can do on LinkedIn or whatever, to really enhance your profile. And all these stuff are not really directly linked to job seeking or like application to jobs, but it all comes combined into something that makes you really valuable. And obviously just work hard, but also work smart to, just to figure out where you want to go and how do you get there.
Last little question. I
Yep.
know you've got to go, but little one. So some people, like say they'll join the grad jobs program, and I'll tell them about all the work we need to do,
Yeah.
and they'll go like, that's a lot of work. That's like
Yeah.
that's like a lot of hours I have to put in, and some people they won't put in the work for a while. They'll put it off. They'll be a bit lazy, and they won't do it. Whereas you are the opposite. I think you just do the work. Like if it's going to get you to the outcome, you'll do the work. So, what would you say to those people?
Well, at first when I join grad jobs program, I kind of see it as another subject that I took at uni. So basically, for whatever assignments or tasks that you require me to do, I will clarify with you about the deadline. Either you told me, okay, get it done by Friday next week or whatever, or I will set myself a deadline and I will tell you, okay, by next week, whichever date, I will get that complete. And if I don't, I will give you an update. And really, really keeping in touch with you as my coach, as my tutor at that point of time. And and the way I see it as a course that I have to complete really drive me to put in some work and get things done and progress through the program. And I think I didn't even complete the whole thing, like the whole video. I didn't really watch all the videos that you provide in the portal, but instead I might be halfway through and then I secure an offer. But after that, I still use your resources to really enhance my knowledge and try to improve what I haven't gone through, what I didn't know, and just to make sure that in case I got another opportunity after, I still be able to apply some skills that you taught. So basically, see as a project or like a course at uni that you have to complete.
Yeah, that's good advice. Awesome. Well, I know you have to go. Thank you so much for your time. That was super valuable. I'd love to do another one with you sometimes. The people will probably like it.
Sure.
But yeah, thank you for
Nice
your
to
time.
meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Catch up.
Enjoy work.
No worries.
See you, mate.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.